Yeah, I dug this too. This is like the Iron Claw for women. The tremendous Katie Walsh is here to help me discuss Love Lies Bleeding, the latest from writer director Rose Glass. I cannot imagine a more perfect friend to talk about this with because you were at the screening with me. And afterward, I'm like, I cannot wait to hear what Katie thinks. I bet she
Oh,
loves this movie.
I do. I do love this movie. And that was my second time seeing it, actually.
Oh, very cool. I wonder if you can say without spoiling what you might have appreciated the second time around. But first, if you've not subscribed to us here at Breakfast All Day, we would love to have you because when there's a really cool A24 movie that has got a lot of buzz and folks are talking about that you've got to see, we will always talk about it here. So join us if you have not. There's a subscribe button if you'd like to enjoy that. Katie Walsh, what is Love Lies Bleeding about?
So where did you appear from? Oklahoma? Yeah, I've never been anywhere but here.
Well, it is set in the 80s in 1989 in a sort of desolate, anonymous southwestern town. Kristen Stewart plays the manager at a gym, kind of a musclehead gym, in a warehouse. Not a very glamorous place to work. And she connects with a person who's drifting through town, this woman named Jackie, played by Katie O'Brien, total breakout star performance from Katie O'Brien. She is on the poster. You have probably seen her incredible shoulders and delts on the poster. So these two women connect. They have instant chemistry. They start a explosive love affair, but there's just too many dark things in this town. I mean, this is a true crime noir, and one of the hallmarks of a noir film is that the world that we're in is corrupt and dark and infested with, bad things. And so this town that they're in, there's just too many close connections, too many coincidences, and too many people doing too many bad things that even though they're having this hot and heavy love affair, and also Jackie is on the way to Vegas for a bodybuilding competition, and they meet in the gym. But there's just, it seems like a really nice relationship until outside forces kind of infringe on their connection, and things get dark and bloody quickly. That's all I'll say.
No, I appreciate that. Yeah, there's so much to discover here. Yeah, that bond between them is so hot and sexy and also sweet. That chemistry is so palpable that they're doomed. Because this is noir, as you say. Like this has to end tragically somehow, right?
And it's not, I mean, it's very lusty, like their connection, but it's not just sex. Like they do really fall in love with each other. There's just too many bad things in both of their pasts that are kind of alluded to. They're not overly explained, but there's some crazy flashbacks going on. And Kristen Stewart, who plays a character named Lou, lives in this town with her family. And there's just a lot of history with her family. And there's a reason why she's never left, and sort of mysterious questions about where everybody is and what her dad does. And her sister is played by Jenna Malone. And so it's like she's kind of trying to hold it all together and lead her own life, but she's not really succeeding at that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I dug this too. This is like the Iron Claw for women. Like a lot of bad mullets and dolphin shorts and a lot of like aggression, like misplaced anger. And that tragedy is there, but there's also a lot of big style, a lot of swagger. Have you seen Rose Glass's first film, Saint Maud?
Oh yeah. This is kind of maybe not a hot take. I think Saint Maud and Love Lies Bleeding are very, very similar films, even though Saint Maud is like this psychological horror film about a British nurse who's obsessed with being Catholic and mortification of the flesh. And I think there's a lot to do. I think Rose Glass, as an auteur, as her point of view, she is very interested in flesh and female imagination. And I think she likes these stories about how the female imagination is so twisted and expansive that it can maybe somehow transcend the body. I actually think Saint Maud is maybe required watching before Love Lies Bleeding in order to fully understand Love Lies Bleeding. I think
Yeah,
that the
I
two
love
go
Saint Maud.
together. You
Mhm.
have to you have to understand Love Lies Bleeding through Saint Maud.
Yeah, that's an excellent point you make. I thought they had a lot in common in terms of the mood that she establishes and like the really tricky tonal balance that she finds between horror and exaltation and like hope and love and female bonds. But you're right, like there's a lot in the sinew, if you will, of
Yeah.
both films that really connects them. That's a really good point that you make. I love Saint Maud, and I had it on my top 10 list that year.
Oh
And it
yeah.
was like, it was 2021, and it was a year where we weren't really back to movies yet. And it was like tense and so sad and so exceptionally well made that I thought this is amazing that this is her first film and she follows it up in really solid fashion. This is like the perfect Kristen Stewart movie. For
Yeah.
all of her swagger and all her vulnerability. And there's such a like an electric charge to her screen presence here that we see in the best of her work. There's such an accessibility and an authenticity, and she and Katie O'Brien have crazy chemistry. Katie O'Brien had a small role on The Mandalorian. That's how I knew her. She was like one
Yeah.
of the guards on The Mandalorian.
I think she's in the Ant-Man one,
Okay.
Quantumania. I didn't see that
Yeah.
one. But yeah, she's been mostly doing kind of like sci-fi Marvel-ish type of stuff. But this is like a total breakout role. I actually saw a funny tweet that was like, someone tweeted like, "We are looking for a queer female bodybuilder," and she was like, "Wait, I have to get this audition."
She's like, ding, ding, ding.
Yeah. And so I actually think it really does matter that both of these actresses are queer for this love story. And I really enjoyed seeing Kristen Stewart in a queer story. And, you know, obviously she was in Happiest Season, but tonally, I think this is like more her vibe, I think, as you are saying. And I think that it's really fun to see her in a crime movie. I was wondering if I've ever seen her in a movie where she like has to like handle a gun.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah, this is a crime movie, but there's also kind of some dark humor to it in
Oh,
ways
it's
that reminded
very
me
funny.
a bit. Yeah, like sort of like the Coens, No Country for Old Men. It's that same part of America and the same kind of like people who aren't nearly as adept at what they do as they think they are, but they're dangerous nonetheless. And that vibe of terror and danger is pervasive throughout. A lot of what happens here too is with steroids. In terms of this is the 80s at this gym, and a lot of like gym rat guys come in and they get steroids from Kristen Stewart's character on the side. But what they might have had instead to get amped up is coffee from our friends at Coffee Brothers. We have a deal with our friends at Coffee Brothers. Take 15% off of your order with our code breakfast15. If you order at least $50 worth of Coffee Brothers coffee, your shipping is free. They have a couple of cool new things in. They have their first Sumatra blend since 2020, I want to say. It's been a few years. They have a really cool Futuro espresso from Brazil that is very special. So go check both those things out. We have a link to them down below. Coffee Brothers Coffee. Not that you need to be amped up to watch this movie because it is very tense and keeps you on edge the whole time because they're all such wild cards. Dave Franco's in this too. Ed Harris is in this, and they're all like very unreliable and potentially scary.
Yeah, what you were saying before about the comedy, what I like about Kristen Stewart in this film about as she's sort of exploring this criminal world is she's kind of clumsy. She like knows what to do, but she's not particularly good at it. She's sort of bumbling around, and there is a really dark humor. I think there's a real wit in the edit and in some of the line deliveries. And I really enjoyed her in this. The film does take a really big swing at the end, and I feel like people are either going to go with it or not. I decided to go with it ultimately.
Me too.
But I really enjoyed this film, and I think it has a lot worth talking about in it.
There are some fantastical elements to it and some kind of like lurid giallo quality to some of the lighting that's really unsettling. So yeah, well done, Rose Glass. A great solid follow-up. Katie, what is your number on Love Lies Bleeding?
I'll give it an 8.5.
Okay. I thought you'd be higher.
Oh.
Take cake your 8.5. That's fine. Whatever you want to give it is fine. There's no wrong answer.
I gave it
here.
a 3.5 out of 4 in my review.
Okay.
I hate numbers. I hate numbers and I
Sorry.
hate ranking. I have to just register my opposition.
Okay, we could just give it an 8.5 with an asterisk as the caveat that Katie doesn't enjoy her 8.5, but she likes the movie.
I do. Wait, what's your number?
Like I was going to say like an 8.8.
Okay. Well, fine. I'll give an 8.8.
Super duper. Let's do that. All right. Love Lies Bleeding is in Los Angeles and New York this weekend, March 8th, and then goes wider March 15th. So go find it when it is near you. Katie Walsh, thank you for your help. Good to see you.
Thanks. Good to see you too. Bye.